Hello and welcome. I'm excited to share this presentation with you as part of my preparation for the Master Sommelier exam. Whether you're studying for your own journey, a curious enthusiast, or just here to explore, I hope you'll find value in what we cover today. In this video, we will be exploring Austria, uncovering the unique characteristics and stories behind its wines. Before we dive in, I want to highlight the trusted sources I used to create this presentation, some of my absolute favorite wine books. If you're researching or expanding your wine knowledge, these are great resources to have on your shelf. Now let's get started and uncork the secrets of Austria. Viticulture in Austria likely began with the Celts, and Roman records confirm that vine cultivation existed in the region early on. However, it came to a halt in the 1st century only to be revived in the 3rd century by Emperor Probus. During the Middle Ages, Cistercian monks played a major role in shaping viticulture, and by the 8th century vineyards had come under the control of the church. Vienna became the largest consumer of local wine, helping nearby regions flourish. The town of Rust grew so prominent it was granted independence, and unlike in Hungary, Austrian wine production remained relatively unaffected by the Ottoman Empire. In 1784, Emperor Joseph II issued a decree allowing inns to produce and sell their own wine, giving rise to the Heuriger tradition. As Austria industrialized, wine consumption rose, and scientific study followed, culminating in the founding of the Klosterneuburg School of Viticulture and Oenology. After the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed, Austria lost several key wine regions. Then came World War II, which caused widespread physical damage to vineyards and cellars. Post-war efforts focused on rebuilding with an emphasis on mechanization and efficiency, sometimes at the expense of quality. That decline hit rock bottom in 1985 when the infamous adulteration scandal involving diethylene glycol antifreeze severely damaged Austria's reputation. The crisis, however, became a turning point. Austria enacted some of the strictest wine laws in the world through the Vinea Wachau Association, led the way with rigorous regulations that focused on purity, origin, and quality. Today, Austrian wine stands as a symbol of resilience, rooted in ancient tradition, tested by crisis, and redefined by integrity. Austria is about the same size as the US state of Maine, and it shares borders with 7 countries: the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, Italy, Switzerland, and Germany. Most of Austria's wine production is concentrated along the eastern edge of the country, where the climate is warmer and dry. Here, we find Austria's 3 major wine-growing regions, known as Weinbauregionen: Vineland, Steiderland, and Burgenland. Historically, wine-growing extended much further west. Up until the 17th century, there were substantial vineyard areas even in Austria's western federal states. However, climate changes, economic downturns, and the rise of beer culture and breweries led to a sharp decline in viticulture in these cooler areas. By the 19th century, wine growing had nearly disappeared from the west. Today, while still limited, there are small pockets of viticulture that have survived or been revived, and we're even seeing a bit of a renaissance in the Burgenland region, with producers exploring what's possible in these high-altitude and marginal zones. Within the 3 Weinbauregionen are the 4 official quality-focused appellations, Weinbaugebieten. From north to south, these are Niederösterreich, Lower Austria, the largest wine-growing region by acreage, characterized by a diverse mix of old and young soils, including granite, gneiss, loess, and alluvial deposits. Wien, Vienna, the smallest region, both in size and production, with vineyards primarily on limestone soils. Burgenland, Austria's 2nd largest wine region, known for its warmer climate and a combination of limestone and slate soils, ideal for both red and dessert wines. And Steiermark, Styria, located in the south. This region features steep hillside vineyards and complex soil composed of gneiss, mica, schist, and limestone. Austria lies along the 48th parallel north, which places it in line with cities like Seattle, Normandy, and Strasbourg. Despite this relatively cool latitude, Austria enjoys a continental climate marked by warm summers, cold winters, and plenty of sunshine during the growing season. A key feature of the climate is the rain-shadow effect created by the surrounding mountains, especially the Alps, which helps keep many vineyard areas drier and more sheltered. And Austria also benefits from wide and regular diurnal temperature shifts. These day-night temperature swings help the grapes retain acidity while still developing ripe flavors, an essential factor in producing balanced, age-worthy wines. Several major geographical influences help moderate the climate. The Danube River, especially in Niederösterreich, provides both moisture and temperature regulation. The Neusiedlersee Lake in Burgenland creates a humid microclimate ideal for botrytis and sweet wines. The Pannonian Plain, bringing warm, dry air from the east, and the Alps, of course, act as a natural barrier and help shape local conditions throughout the country. Austria allows for 42 grape varieties for Qualitätswein, but a few dominate. Grüne Veltliner leads at 30% of plantings, shining in Niederösterreich from zesty to age-worthy wines. Welsh Riesling thrives in Steiermark and Burgenland for crisp and sweet wines. Riesling excels in the Wachau and Comtal regions. Pinot Blanc, Weissburgunder, and Chardonnay, Morillon, account for approximately 7%, adding elegance in cooler sites. Sauvignon Blanc is Steiermark's aromatic signature, and on the reds, Zweigelt delivers fruit-forward softness, and Blaufränkisch brings structure, acidity, and aging potential. In Austria, land stewardship isn't just encouraged, it's the law. 100% of vineyards must follow integrated viticulture principles. Chemical protection as a last resort, with mechanical, biological, and ecological methods preferred. When chemicals are needed, growers must choose state-of-the-art, low-impact products. Treatments are kept away from water, fertilizers follow groundwater regulation, and cover crops and winter ground cover protect the soil. CO2 emissions are reduced by combining tasks to minimize tractor use. And under the EU Habitats Directive, endangered species and Natura 2000 areas are safeguarded. These integrated practices are reinforced by a ban on insecticides and herbicides and compliance with organic viticultural regulations. Consequently, Austria boasts a high number of organic, biodynamic, and sustainable Austria certified wineries, covering 27% of all vineyards. The Sustainable Austria Seal evaluates producers against 380 measures, environmental, economic, and social, though wineries don't need perfect scores in every category, but the overall traffic light diagram may not show red in any area, ensuring credibility and meaningful sustainability. Austria is a leader in organic viticulture. 25% of its vineyards carry EU organic certification. Within that, biodynamic producers certified by Demeter and Respect Biodan account for 14% of the total area. These growers treat the vineyard as a living ecosystem, guided by natural cycles and biodiversity to produce wines that express a true sense of place. Not much is stipulated in terms of wine production, but a few markers are important to highlight. Gemischte Stadt, or field blends, is a wine made from at least 3 different white Qualitätswein grape varieties, all grown together in the same vineyard and harvested at the same time. This method was once common in Vienna's vineyards, where planting multiple varieties in one plot served as insurance against bad vintages. Today it is valued for the complexity and balance it brings to the glass. Sweetness levels. If a wine is labeled as trocken or dry, it will have up to 4 grams per liter of residual sugar, or up to 9 if the acidity is high enough to balance it, at most 2 grams per liter lower than residual sugar. Halbtrocken or off-dry can go up to 18 grams with acidity no more than 10 grams lower than sugar. Lieblich, medium sweet, tops out at 45 grams, and anything over that is considered Süß. In each of Austria's DAC, specific winemaking rules shape the final wines, and while they share a common framework, the details vary by region. Let's begin with the Wachau, one of Austria's most iconic wine regions. At the top of the pyramid is single vineyard wine, or Riedenwein, which must be made from either Grüne Veltliner or Riesling, the region's signature varieties. These are the only grapes permitted to express the character of the Wachau's top vineyard sites. Next is village-level wine, or Ortswein, which widens the focus to include Weissburgunder, Grauburgunder, Chardonnay, Neuburger, Muscateller, Sauvignon Blanc, and Traminer. All white, all monovarietal. Finally, there is regional wine, or Gebietswein, the broadest category, offering the greatest flexibility in grape variety. Winemakers can work with Frühhoter Veltliner, Müller-Thurgau, Muscato Tolel, and even red varieties like Pinot Noir, Saint Laurent, and Zweigelt, or create cuvées from any approved grapes. Even Gemischte Stadt or field blends is allowed at this level. For both village and single vineyard wines, the use of oak is minimal or entirely absent, and hand harvesting is mandatory, 2 measures that preserve purity and expressiveness of sight. In the Wachau, producers also label wines with distinctive style names based on alcohol level. Steinfeder is the lightest, up to 11.5% ABV, named after a delicate grass found in the vineyards. Federspiel represents the classic style, 11.5 to 12.5% ABV, a term borrowed from falconry. Smaragd is the fullest expression, at least 12.5% ABV, named after the emerald lizards that bask on the sun-warmed vineyard stones. These style names help consumers understand not just the origin, but also the weight and intended character of the wine, a hallmark of Austria's transparent and thoughtful wine laws. Moving east from the Wachau, we come to the neighboring DACs of Kremstal, Traisental, and Comtal, where winemaking regulations follow a similar structure but with key regional distinctions. All three regions focus on dry styles, and each places Grüne Veltliner and Riesling at the center of production. In Kamptal, additional varieties are permitted, most notably Chardonnay, Pinot Blanc, and Pinot Gris. Across these DACs, chaptalization is not permitted, and wines must meet a minimum alcohol threshold that increase with ripeness and style. Regional wines begin at 11.5% ABV, with Kamptal capping this category at 12.5. Village-level wines must reach at least 12% ABV, and single vineyard wines are held to a higher standard at 12.5 ABV, though in Kamptal, the threshold aligns with village-level wines. And where applicable, reserve wines must reach a minimum of 13% ABV, signaling greater ripeness and structure. It is also worth noting that Kamptal does not officially use the reserve category, focusing instead on clarity between its regional, village, and vineyard expressions. From 2025 onwards, Kamptal DAC wines must be produced using organic or sustainable Austria-certified grapes, and in the same districts of Kamptal, Kremstal, and Traisental, and also including the Wagram, the Traditionsweinguter Österreich, a traditional Austrian wineries association, has gone a step further in formalizing vineyard hierarchy. They have this far classified 61 of the most exceptional sites as Ersterlagen, or Premier Cru, and wines from these sites often carry the Erste Lage designation on the label, marked by the stylized 10WT symbol. The next tier, Grossenlagen, Grand Cru, is currently in development and expected to follow in the coming years. Next, we move to Weinviertel, Austria's largest wine-growing area and home to the Klosterneuburg School of Enology, a major center for viticulture education and research. Here, the DAC regulations are focused on freshness and purity, especially for Grüne Veltliner, the region's flagship grape. At the base level, Weinviertel DAC must have a minimum alcohol content of 12% and a maximum of 6 grams per liter of residual sugar, which ensures the wines remain crisp, dry, and linear, a hallmark of the region's style. At the higher tiers, Weinviertel DAC Reserve and Gross Reserve, the rules become more stringent. These wines must have a minimum of 13% alcohol and be fully dry, emphasizing ripeness, structure, and aging potential. To conclude this section, we turn to one of Austria's most historic and revered sweet wine styles, Röster Ausspruch. This wine is made from grapes affected by noble rot, or Botrytis cinerea, a beneficial fungus that causes berries to naturally shrivel on the vine, concentrating both sugars and flavors. The result is a wine of remarkable richness, complexity, and balance. To qualify as Röster Ausspruch, producers must meet a series of strict criteria. Grapes must reach a minimum must weight of 30 degrees kmw, signaling intense sugar concentration. Hand harvesting is mandatory, allowing for the careful selection of only the best botrytized berries. And starting April 1st of the year following the harvest, wines must be submitted for federal inspection, a process that guarantees both authenticity and quality. The final wine must contain at least 45 grams per liter of residual sugar, but the hallmark of Röster Ausspruch is not just sweetness, it's the bright acidity that carries it, delivering a wine that is opulent yet precise and built to last. As we move into Austria's wine laws, it's important to understand the foundation of quality classifications. Austrian wine is divided into 3 official quality levels, and each is governed by strict production rules, including a maximum yield of 75 hectoliters per hectare. At the most basic level is Wein, or wine without a more specific regional designation than Österreich. These wines cannot be labeled by varietal if they include PGI or PDO grapes, preserving the integrity of the higher classifications. If the producer wants to label the wine by vintage or grape variety, they must respect the yield limit. There are also 2 unique terms allowed at this level. Bergwein, referring to wines made from steep hillside vineyards with slopes of at least 26%, and Heuriger, a traditional term used for young wine served in the same year as the harvest, often enjoyed at rustic taverns across eastern Austria. Moving on to protected designations, Austria's Protected Designation of Origin, PDO, and Protected Geographical Indications, PGI, are officially recognized by both the Austrian government and the European Union, ensuring strong legal protection and consumer trust. Under the PGI category, we find Landwein, which represents wines produced within clearly defined Weinbauregionen, or wine-growing regions. Common Landwein labels include Weinland, Steierland, and Burgland. These wines are made exclusively from grape varieties permitted for Qualitätswein production, though Landwein itself is not classified as Qualitätswein. To meet the standards, grapes must reach a minimum must weight of 14 degrees kmw, and the finished wine must have at least 8.5% ABV. Moving up, Qualitätswein corresponds to PDO level, geschützte Ursprungsbezeichnung, or GU in German. Qualitätswein and higher level wines carry the distinctive red-white-red banderole on the bottle's capsule, displaying the registered producer number. This seal guarantees authenticity and quality, and it is not permitted on Landwein bottles. Qualitätswein can be sourced from any of Austria's 9 generic wine-growing regions, including Niederösterreich, Burgenland, Steiermark, Wien, Kärnten, Oberösterreich, Salzburg, Tyrol, and Vorarlberg. The regulations at this level are minimally restrictive beyond the use of the 42 approved grape varieties, allowing for a broad range of styles from fresh aromatic wines to iconic cuvées. Within Qualitätswein, there is a further distinction for wines produced entirely from grapes harvested in a single wine-growing area, Weinbaugebiete. These wines must meet a higher standard with a minimum must weight of 15 degrees kmw and 9% ABV. A special subcategory, cabinet, demands a must weight of 17 degrees kmw, prohibits chaptalization, restricts residual sugar to a maximum of 9 grams per liter, and caps alcohol at 13%. Cabinet wines emphasize purity and fruit expression without sweetening. There has been, however, a declining use of this term due to the confusion it creates in the market, as the other Prädikatswein terminology is only utilized for sweet wines. Wines may also follow the Prädikatswein system for sweet wines or the Districtus Austria Controllatus (DAC) quality systems, which highlight regional typicity. Austrian wine law also defines sweet wines with precision. Under the Prädikatswein qualification, unique to Austria and Germany, wines must present a Mostvage Bescheinigung, certifying the natural sugar content of the grape must. Chaptalization and the addition of Sous-Reserve are prohibited, ensuring all sweetness is natural. These wines undergo organoleptic assessment by the Federal Inspection Number Tasting Commission before release, and the dates for submitting wines for tasting vary by category. Spätlese and Auslese wines must be submitted starting January 1st of the year following the harvest, and the sweeter styles Beerenauslese, Trockenbeerenauslese, Eiswein, and Strohwein, Schilfwein are submitted starting April 1st, and must weight requirements increase with sweetness level. Spätlese requires 19 degrees kmw, Auslese requires 21 degrees, Beerenauslese, Eiswein, and Strohwein, Schilfwein requiring 25 degrees, and Trockenbeerenauslese requiring 30 degrees kmw. Notably, the term Ausbruch is exclusively reserved for botrytized sweet wines produced in the historic town of Rust. Austria's DAC system, established in 1991, is the country's appellation of origin framework designed to define and promote typical styles unique to each sub-region. Currently, there are 18 DAC regions, with Weinviertel being the first, designated in 2003 for Grüne Veltliner, and Terme Region for the most recent in 2023. The DAC is grower established and regulated, with criteria encompassing approved grape varieties, harvesting methods, aging, and sensory characteristics. Within the DAC hierarchy, wines are classified by origin specificity and release timing. At the top are single vineyard wines, or Riedenwein, Lagenwein, representing the finest sites, like, for example, Kamptal DAC Ried Zobinger Heiligenstein, released after May 1st of the year following the harvest. Below them are village vineyard wines, Orstwein, from specific villages or municipalities, such as Südsteiermark DAC Kitzek Salzal, released after March 1st of the year following the harvest. The base tier is sub-regional wines Gebietswein, representing the broader DAC regions like Kamptal DAC or Wachau DAC, released after December 1st of the harvest year. This tiered release structure supports optimal maturation and consumer guidance. Let's now take a closer look at Austria's key wine-growing states, starting with Lower Austria, or Niederösterreich, the country's most significant wine region both in terms of volume and reputation. Located just north of Vienna, it stretches westward along the Danube and up to the Czech border. The Danube plays a crucial role in moderating the region's climate, aided by a strong rain-shadow effect from the Alps. These conditions create a wide and regular diurnal shift, helping grapes retain acidity and develop layered aromas. Lower Austria is home to 8 DAC subregions, each with a clear varietal focus. The famous Danube trio, Wachau, Kremstal, and Kamptal, along with Traisental, emphasize Grüne Veltliner and Riesling, though subtle climatic differences shape their styles. For instance, Kremstal's slightly warmer air currents lend a more aromatic and ripe profile to its wines. Wagram builds on Grüne Veltliner and Riesling with Roter Veltliner, while Weinviertel, Austria's largest wine-growing region, is synonymous with Grüne Veltliner. In Carnuntum, you'll find a broader palette: Zweigelt, Blaufränkisch, Chardonnay, Chardonnay and Pinot Blanc, along with Grüne Veltliner and finally Termeregion in the south, distinguishing itself with indigenous white grape varieties like Rotgipfler and Zifflander, alongside a wide range of Burgundian and red varieties. Moving into Vienna, the capital city itself has vineyards, making it the only world capital with significant urban viticulture. Its DAC is Wiener Gemischte Stadt, which mandates a field blend of at least 3 white Qualitätswein varieties, grown and vinified together from a single vineyard. Typical grapes include Grüne Veltliner, Riesling, Weissburgunder, and Chardonnay. These wines are deeply tied to the city's Heurigen culture, the seasonal wine taverns that are a core part of Viennese life, and now officially recognized by UNESCO as part of Austria's intangible cultural heritage. Southeast of Vienna lies Burgenland, where the warm, dry air from Hungary's Pannonian Plain creates one of Austria's most hospitable climates for red and sweet wines. Influenced heavily by historical Hungarian production, the state is now divided into 6 DAC subregions. Neusiedler-See is Zweigelt country, while Leiterberg focuses on Blaufränkisch and elegant whites from Weissburgunder, Chardonnay, Grüne Veltliner, and Neuburger. In Rust, producers make the famed Ruster Ausspruch, a botrytized dessert wine from varieties like Welsh Riesling, Muscateller, and Furmint. Rosalia specializes in rosé and red wines from Blaufränkisch and Zweigelt, while Mittelburgenland and Eisenberg are red wine powerhouses, both centered on Blaufränkisch. Lastly, we travel south to Styria, or Steiermark, a mountainous, alpine-influenced state along the Slovenian border. Known for steep vineyards and cool climates, Styria is divided into 3 DAC subregions: Vulkanland Steiermark, Sud Steiermark, and West Steiermark. Across these regions, white varieties dominate, especially Welsh Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Gris, Riesling, Morillon, Muscateller, and Traminer. What sets West Steiermark apart is its pride in Blauer Wildbacher, the red grape used to make Schilcher, a racy, dry rosé with bright acidity and unmistakable local flair. The combination of altitude, aspect, and precision farming results in some of Austria's most distinctive and expressive wines. Switching to sparkling wines, Austrian Sekt is celebrated annually on October 22nd, highlighting the country's tradition of quality sparkling production. Austrian Sekt, or Qualitätsschaumwein, is a sparkling wine category that may not carry the PDO or PDGI status, nor specify grape variety or vintage, and it must have a minimum pressure of 3.5 bar or 51 psi to ensure lively bubbles. The distinction between Austrian Sekt and Sekt Austria is critical. The latter carries a PDO designation and is identified by the red-white-red banderole on the bottle, signaling certified origin and quality. For Sekt Austria PDO, the base wine must be made exclusively from Qualitätswein grapes harvested within a single federal state, with no restriction on production method. Bottle-fermented Sekts require at least 9 months maturation on the lees, while those produced by the Charmat method must age a minimum of 6 months. Unlike other wine classifications, Sekt Austria labels indicate the federal state, but no more specific geographic region. Sekt Austria Reserve, also a PDO, represents a higher tier of sparkling wine with even stricter production standards. To qualify, the base wine must come from hand-harvested Qualitätswein grapes pressed exclusively within a single federal state. Production is exclusively made by the Méthode Traditionnelle. A minimum of 18 months maturation of the lees is required, and residual sugar must not exceed 12 grams per liter, corresponding to the brut style or drier. Only municipalities may be indicated on the label, emphasizing precise origin. The pinnacle of Austrian sparkling wine is Sekt Austria Gross Reserve, the highest tier within the PDO classification. To qualify, Qualitätswein grapes must be hand-harvested and pressed within a single municipality, ensuring exceptional terroir expression and traceability. Like the reserve level, production is exclusively by Méthode Traditionnelle, and what sets Gross Reserve apart is the extended aging requirement, a minimum of 36 months maturation on the lees, imparting remarkable complexity and finesse. As for the wine profile, a Smaragd-Grüne Veltliner from Wachau typically shows sight as pale straw with hints of green, with no evidence of gas or sediments, and a medium to medium plus viscosity. On the nose, medium to medium plus aromatic intensity, youthful with possible fruit notes of grapefruit, lime, lemon, underripe to ripe peach, nectarine, yellow cherry, green and yellow apple, pear, green plum, non-fruits such as white flowers, honeysuckle, pepper, wasabi, arugula, watercress, radish, lentil, sugar snap pea, celery, tarragon, chives, lees, cheese, smoke, with an emphasis on white pepper and vegetal tones, stone and granite minerality with no evidence of oak usage. On the palate, dry with a medium alcohol, medium plus body, medium plus acidity, high phenolic bitterness, medium to medium plus finish dominated by bitterness. Austria has seen a number of standout vintages across all wine styles in recent years. For white wines, the finest years include 2021, 19, 15, 13, 06, 01, and back to 1999, 97, and 95. Red wines have shown exceptional quality in a broader set of vintages, particularly from 2024 through 21, as well as 19, 17, 15, 12, 11, 09, 06, and again in 1999 and 97. Sweet wines, especially those affected by botrytis, excelled in years like 2023, 22, 15, 10, 5, 1999, 95, and 93, with notable absences in 1992, 2003, and 2014 due to unfavorable conditions. Ice vine saw successful harvests in 2023, 12, 09, 08, 04, 03, and 1999, and among all of these, 1999 is regarded as a truly exceptional vintage across every category, while 1996 is widely remembered as a disastrous year for Austrian wine. Before we wrap up, here are some major producers from Austria that you might find on the market, definitely worth exploring. From Niederösterreich, several iconic names stand out, many of which are based in the celebrated subregions of Wachau, Comtal, and Kremstal. These include Brundelmeier, MacNeil, Franz Herzberger, FX Pichler, Hiedler, Hirsch, Holzapfel, Leo Alzinger, Rudi Pichler, and Schloss Gobelsberg. Notable wines from this region include Prager's Wachstum Bodenstein, Riesling and Smaragd from a steep cruise site in Wachau, Leumer's Biodynamic Loiserberg Riesling Erstlage from Comtal, and Nigel's Kirchberg Grüne Veltliner made from 75-year-old vines in Kremstal. Historical estates like Freigut Thalern and Schloss Gobelsberg trace their origins back to Cistercian monasteries in the early 12th century, reflecting the deep historical roots of viticulture in the area. In Burgenland, a region celebrated for its reds and sweet wines, top producers include Ernst Streebaumer, Gesselmann, Hans Ziegler, Hans and Anita Nitnaus, Ibi, Krutzler, Morek, Paul Ochs, Krieler, Rosie Schuster, and Wallner. Morek, for example, is widely known for its single vineyard Blaufränkisch from Lutzmannburg, while Umantum, a biodynamic producer, is renowned for its Wamstein Saint Laurent. Sylvia Heinrich of J. Heinrich Estate is also a benchmark name for Blaufränkisch. For fans of Austria's famous botrytized dessert wines, Rusterausbruch remains a gold standard, with excellent examples crafted by Heinrich Rock and Feiler Artinger. These producers across styles and regions offer an excellent entry point into the diversity and precision of Austrian wine. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Have you ever visited Austria? What's your favorite wine or producer from here? Let's keep this conversation flowing. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you found this helpful, entertaining, or inspiring, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel or following me on Instagram. I'm aiming to share a new presentation every week, so stay tuned for more wine adventures. Cheers and see you next time.